This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined once again from all the way down in Waterford, a place I was in last year, but delighted to be joined once again with Dylan Moran. How are you, Dylan?
Steve, I'm very well, thank you. Delighted to jump back on, and thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. We were just sort of, obviously, just while we were testing, obviously, out to make sure everything's good signal-wise. We were sort of both saying we're having good weather. It's nice here in Belfast. It's nice in Waterford. It's probably a summer's day, the equivalent to a sol in Ireland.
Yeah, when we get the good weather, it's the best country in the world. They're few and far between, though, the sunny days.
They definitely are. I guess, obviously not that we want to dwell too much in the past, but obviously the last time we had obviously spoke to you, obviously it was in the lead up to the Florian Markey fight. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I guess as we see so many times, obviously in boxing, particularly in the first round of a fight, when you don't get a chance to warm up, unfortunately you get caught and you just couldn't recover.
Yeah, what happened that night happened, Steve. People think what they seen in the ring was the end, and in reality, that's where it just began. The weeks and months following, uh, wasn't a nice place to be, and hard to deal with, hard to accept. But again, the game is the game, and what happened happened. I got caught cold. People in boxing would understand that. I remember leaving the dressing room before I know what I was sat back in there. But like I said, the game is the game, and it's been and gone.
Obviously, I know that we've spoken, and hopefully I'm not speaking too much out of turn, but obviously, was that a tougher defeat for you to take than obviously your first one? Obviously it's your second defeat as a pro. Was it tougher this time around because you didn't really get the show who you were, obviously on a big audience on Sky?
Yeah, it was just the getting to Sky Sports was a big moment in my life, and I'd done it by the book. I hadn't cut no corners. I got there through. I came through the gutter to get there, and on the biggest night of my life for that to happen. I've been in the ring all my life, bigger and scarier men than Florian, and that never came close to happening. And for it to happen again on, like I said, the biggest night of my life, it's hard to accept that. But again, you have to go away and deal with these things. That's life. Life isn't fair. It wasn't fair for me that night, and I'm sure there'll be many more nights where it's not fair. But yeah, it's in the past. It's been and gone, and I'm delighted to be sat here back in a good routine and back positive and happy and healthy. Thank God.
Did I guess obviously after obviously that happens, I guess you people that obviously don't know the sport or don't know you as a person, which obviously you were probably seeing maybe some of Florian Markey's fans sort of giving you grief and things afterwards. That's the hard part to deal with, probably more so than a defeat, because it's them saying oh, this, that, and the other. You pushed them in the sort of build up to the fight and things didn't
Yeah.
go well. Well, they're giving you grief afterwards. That's probably the hard one to take, because sometimes in the lead up to the fight, you keep an eye on these wee comments to come back to them afterwards and go, what was that you were saying when you proved them wrong? Was it hard?
Yeah, yeah.
Was it hard in the
Hey,
aftermath dealing with some of it?
you have to stand by what you say and do, and I have no problem with that part. You know, um, yeah, like I said, you have to stand by what you say and do. I've done plenty in the build up to it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I know when the call came to my door for Florian, I stood up and took it. I've stuck to my word. I've always said that if the money's right, respectfully, I'll fight anyone, anywhere. And when that call came, Marco, yeah, it all made sense, and off I went, and I wouldn't change it.
I guess you probably thought at that stage, obviously on the biggest stage and obviously the biggest fight of your life, you sort of maybe thought, where do I go sort of next? It's last year obviously you're supposed to fight Deco and it didn't happen. Then obviously the Markey fight happens. In the meantime, obviously Owen and Neil was then scheduled to fight Deco, and now obviously in this wee triangle's formed. You were supposed to fight Deco, Owen was supposed to fight Deco, and now it's you and Owen. Like, how the world's a crazy and mysterious place, and how things work out.
Yeah, you don't know what's around the corner. I'd never pictured myself fighting Owen O'Neill. I got the phone call for it, and I'm like, again, if it makes money and it makes sense, I'm there. A lot of people said, you're crazy coming off a loss, going to Belfast, going to his backyard. He's undefeated. The right road is to go and notch up a couple of wins, get the buzz back, and then go and take a fight like that. But it's a fight I believe I win, and again, it makes money, it makes sense. You want to fight, I'm there. So yeah, we're going to Belfast August 3rd.
I was saying to Owen last Saturday, obviously it's a week on from his interview. Obviously, he wasn't aware that obviously whenever Paddy was starting off, that obviously that you were obviously in the same gym as obviously him at the time. So it's sort of, his manager and you obviously are very good pals from the start of your careers. And obviously now it seems to be another triangle's formulated where Paddy's stuck in the middle. He's got a friend in yourself and his fighter. He's stuck and he's sort of going, he's obviously having to favour his own fighter, but he's obviously a close relationship with you as well.
Yeah, I remember meeting Paddy years ago. I picked him up at Manchester Airport. He was at a crossroads in his career, you know, juggling a job and whether to stick with this boxing because we all know it's a hard game. Yeah, so I have a good relationship with Paddy, and it's mad how things work out. And Owen is stuck in the middle of it, but yeah, again, like Cacace winning the world title, and then I seen Paddy going on and getting into them big fights. You know, you take inspiration from guys like them and sticking at it and just trying to power out one more, you know, one more chance, one more try. And yeah, but there's a bit of history there.
You always struck me, obviously, in the time that I've sort of known you, is you've been very resilient. You know, you've probably taken a lot of criticism from people at times because of, you know, use the example, obviously, of Deco, where he's trying to say that you were sort of like an insta boxer, but obviously he didn't
Yeah.
probably understand you in a way. And I know that you and Deco used to be very close. They probably
So,
tried
so
to
let, let, let
use
me
it as a
let
club.
me let me sum that up for you, Steve. So I seen you say to Owen O'Neill again, maybe Dylan's not focused on you. You know, people think this is all glitz and glam and they can be easily fooled by the phone. I've come home and I've set myself up. I'm in a caravan. I'm in it now at the moment for the next 9 weeks alone out the country. I don't see nobody. I've got me and my gear bag, and all I see is me and Jimmy Payne twice a day. So yeah, that's a little insight for people. I think it's all they'll just see the interviews, they'll see Fight Week, they'll see it all, the glitz and glam. It's far from that. They don't see what's going on. I'm at the end of my first week. I've got another 8 here. Like I said, I'm in a caravan. I'm alone. I'm out the country. I don't see no one. I don't talk to no one. And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, my career's on the line in this fight. So there's no Instagram, there's no YouTube, there's none of that nonsense that Deco was talking about. This is what goes on. This is what goes into it. I don't cut no corners. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, my career's on the line. So I'll be there fit and ready August the 3rd.
I was going to lead on to obviously the fact we're being the biggest fight for Owen O'Neill. Obviously, him getting an opportunity. You obviously having a big card in the SSE. Your first time in Belfast as well, I believe, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I've been at shows up there before, but I've not been to the SSE, and I've not like been to a pretty big one, small enough. So I was only up the last weekend at a show, but I've watched all the shows. I've watched the press conferences, and you know, I've been a fan sat there, knowing I'd sit at the top table one day delivering the entertainment, and you know, now I'm there. Yeah, August the 3rd, I get to do that, and you know, I'm looking forward to it.
And when you're saying the pressure's on you, obviously, you know, I guess, you know, you're going to get into the fight rightly as a favourite, obviously, because of the experience you have as a professional. But as you say, that pressure that you'll have on yourself, where you know your career's on the line, like anything can sort of happen as a fight. And I know you'd shared a clip of Owen O'Neill's stoppage and Owen Duffy, you know, the other day as well,
Yeah,
so that you can sort of, you know, you're not going to write Owen O'Neill off the same way he's not going to write you off. So like anything can happen in boxing. One punch can change the whole thing.
and I know that better than anyone, Steve. You know, listen, the back and forth gig isn't my thing, to be honest. But if I have to do it, I'll do it. You know, I've seen Owen O'Neill speaking for the first time in your interviews. I know a good guy when I see one that seems like him. You know, I haven't a bad word to say about him, nor will I be saying one. So if Owen O'Neill is watching this, I wish him and his team the very best of luck, and I'll see them boys on Fight Week.
And probably that's the best way sometimes for it to be. You know, I know people like the beef and things sometimes, but the nice guys can sort of speak nice about each other and still entertain. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment business. Once you get into the ring, that's when you do your talking rather than obviously mouthing off about each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the case with this fight. And to be honest, that's the case I'd like it to be with all my fights. But, you know, it's not always the way, is it? And with that being said, a little bit of back and forth and that is good sometimes as well. But I'm happy that this fight isn't about that. It's just he's undefeated. You know, it's two Irish guys putting it on the line, and you know the fans are the real winners. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to it.
I guess at this stage, obviously, I know at the minute there's talks obviously ongoing, a potential title being on. It doesn't probably really matter sometimes if there's a title on the line. Obviously, just two Irish lads fighting sometimes is all you need to sell a fight rather than belts.
Yeah, well, I'm a boxing fan as well as a boxer, and like nothing beats the domestic dust up. I think everyone will agree with that. And that's exactly what this is. You know, like I said, Owen's undefeated. He's got, you know, massive support. It's in his hometown. I'll be bringing my traveling fans with me. They'll make plenty of noise. And yeah, you know, the fans are the real winners. It's going to be a great night. It's shaping up to be a great card. Yeah, Belfast is the best fighting city in the world. You know, I've said that for years, and I'm delighted to, yeah, to get in the ring up there.
It's obviously it's rules reversed for me and you. Obviously, me having to do the 4 odd hours down to Waterford last April.
Yeah.
You're obviously having to do it, and that's when the fight was first announced. I said it's rules reversed. You're obviously having to do the 4 odd hours traveling. obviously I'll have to feel the pain for your fans, obviously having to make that trip up as well. But Belfast, another great city that they can enjoy a full weekend of it.
Yeah, exactly. They're all looking forward to it. We all know Belfast is where you go when you want a proper night of boxing. And that's exactly what this will be. There's another one or two domestic dust-ups on it. Tyrone and Mimoune is shaping up to be a great card. I was only up there last weekend and people are buzzing about the show already. So, yeah, and it's only 8 weeks now. I think today, seen you posted, so it'll be here before we know it.
What do you obviously make? Obviously, I guess we're having a really busy start. The Irish boxing, obviously, in 2024. I think by the time that your show will have come, I think that'll be 11, by the start of August. I think with 17 or 18 last year, Irish boxing's thriving. But obviously, you're just only after, obviously, your good friend, obviously, coming up short in the Olympic qualifications. But 2024 seems to be massive in Irish boxing, whether it's amateur or professional.
Yeah, shout out to Kelyn Cassidy. If I got as nervous for my fights as I do before his, I'd just pack it in. Came up unlucky. What a campaign he's been on, beating everyone and anyone that's put in front of him. Absolutely delighted for him. An amazing homecoming in Ballybeg the other day. I'm sure you've seen the video. Everybody out. Bim Connors on the mic. Simply the best playing. Kelyn coming into the estate. Stuff like that is priceless. You can't buy it. But yeah, I'm over the moon for Kelyn. I'm sure he'll want to win the seniors again there this year. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. I would be advising him to stay and pursue the Olympics again in 2030. I think it is it?
2028, I think the next one is in America.
2028. Don't be blinded by the lights. He's on a good road now, and I'd like to see him stick with it.
I guess sometimes when you have that dream and aspirations, obviously, I know everybody has that dream and aspirations sometimes of Olympics. And Amy Broadhurst is probably a good example of that. And the fact that she wasn't getting with Ireland, she obviously had to go with GB and try. Like when someone has that dream, unless it's completely out of the way, they're going to keep going for it. And if his dreams to obviously be an Olympian, don't let sort of pressures of people trying to sign you pro, them looking for a quick buck out of your expense from your own dreams. So keep at it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, he's going to win the seniors again this year, keep the #1 spot. We've seen from the run he's just been on, he's within touching distance of it. It was the flip of a coin, mixing it with the best in the world. So yeah, I'd like to see him pursue the Olympic dream, and I'll be praying that it happens.
Just obviously, finally, obviously, before I let you go, obviously, I just want to obviously speak on obviously success we've obviously had with Anto Cacace becoming world champion a couple of weeks ago. We obviously Fergal McCrory in action in less than 3 weeks' time. Like they think of over 5 years of having no world champion, but I guess the biggest inspiration probably for anybody and probably for you, that the setbacks you've been along the way, what an inspiration Anto Cacace is.
Unbelievable. I said it to you before we start. I can resonate with Anto's story. He's been drenched with bad luck. Um, a lot of the times when he had problems and I had him, his ones made mine not worth talking about. And he stuck with it, perseverance, consistency. And to watch him become world champion the other night, I was delighted. I was absolutely over the moon. Because like I said, I had them few instances at Queensberry while he was at him. I've been invested in his story. And to watch it pay off for him is, yeah, you take inspiration from stuff like that. That's why you need to keep going. If it can happen for Anto, it can happen for me.
It's remarkable probably in some ways. You think you get into the biggest fight of your life, obviously fighting a world title, fighting in Saudi Arabia, they put in a performance like that. Like I haven't put something up about it online because people know the affiliation I have, the Anto, that I'll back
Mm.
him no matter. But like I can't think of an Irish fighter in a world title fight performing better than that in years.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I didn't expect it to go down like that, I'm going to be honest, because I rate Joe Cardina highly. But yeah, it was, he pulled it out of the bag. You know what I mean? He grabbed it by the neck. The opportunity came across and he wasn't giving it to anyone. He took it and, it was well deserved.
I guess in some ways it's a good reminder to people sometimes that when you have your biggest moment, go out there and grab it with both hands and don't let judges or other people have an impact to it.
Exactly. The judges are known could deny Anto that night. Like I said, I was a bit shocked because I rate Joe Cordina. I think he's class. And Anto just done a demolition job. There was no if buts or maybes left in that fight. He deserved the belt, and yeah, I was delighted to see him heading home with it. It looked like a great week over him and Andy O'Neill having the time of their life.
What about Andy? Andy, in 2 weeks, Andy had three. He was in the corner of three fights. Ando Kakachi, world champion. Nick Ball, world champion, and Wally
Yeah,
Hutchison beating Craig Richards. Like, I'm surprised they've
unbelievable.
let him out of Saudi. He's a lucky charm.
He's a lucky charm. Andy O'Neill is a national treasure. He's one of the best men I've met in boxing. I was only on the phone to him yesterday. We're locked and loaded and ready to hit Belfast on the 3rd of August.
I'm gonna have to see if he's allowed permission back in. You know, obviously he's had that much success now. We might need to close the airports to get his head in.
Oh yeah. I'll have to see does he answer the phone now in future.
No, he's obviously in the high and mighty. He's now obviously getting in with the Saudis now. Obviously, but fair play to him. Obviously, he's put on a lot of graft over the years, and obviously he's got himself these big nights on TV, and rightly so, because he's a really good cut man.
He's very good at his job, and Andy O'Neill is a gentleman, and that's why he's in those positions.
Definitely is. But Dylan, obviously, I'll thank you very much for your time. Obviously, enjoy your next 7 weeks or so. Obviously, in your lifestyle, obviously, in the build up to the fight, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Belfast in fight week.
I appreciate that, pal, and thank you for having me on.
Not a problem, Dylan. Take care. Speak soon.
Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.